I grew up in St. Louis, and then I moved to Arkansas for college, got a degree in biology, and stayed there for like a decade where I kind of got into all the interests that I have now. I was always interested in science as a kid, and I got really interested in like agricultural science and bees whenever I was in college, and I wanted to study colony collapse disorder. And by the time I was done researching, like getting my degree in what was supposed to channel me into research science, I realized I would really rather eat a pair of jeans than work in a lab. And so I got really into farming, leased some farmland, farmed for a while in Arkansas, got more into beekeeping. And then it kind of took me towards working in community-based agriculture stuff and like food literacy education and whatnot, which took me into kind of like my first wind of careers, which was in nonprofits and agriculture and community food access. It's kind of a funny story, actually. So when I was living in Arkansas, I was like really involved in like the punk scene. And so I was like living in punk houses and like booking shows and stuff like that. Like bands would come play in my living room and whatnot. And me and my friend really wanted to start an overdose prevention project. And so we started distributing Narcan in our community. And then I always had like 2 jobs around that time. I would have like a passion job working in nonprofits or, you know, like heritage food stuff or whatever. And then I would have like a job that paid the bills, usually waiting tables. And once I started working on the overdose prevention project that I was starting, I kind of needed a different type of money job to offer me more flexibility. And so I started dancing because I could just make my own schedule and make more money for my time. And so I was dancing for a couple of years, and then COVID hit and all the clubs closed. And where I lived, we weren't really eligible for unemployment like a lot of people were. And so I jumped into OnlyFans, started making content. I did mostly solo content for a couple of years. And then just a year ago, I moved to LA. And this year, 2023, I've started doing studio porn, and it's been really fun. I was dating a girl at the time. I was in a triad at the time with this amazing girl. She's still one of my best friends. She was a burlesque dancer, and I was also dating her wife. And they were just like the most supportive people that I've ever met. They're still amazing friends of mine. And so my girlfriend, who was a burlesque dancer, she had lots of stripper friends. She wasn't a stripper herself, even though she was doing a different kind of dancing. But it just was really in the forefront of my mind because I saw a lot of people around me doing it. And so I started to think of it as an option, and it seemed like it was treating all of them pretty well. Whenever I was dancing, I had a lot of fun performing and pole dancing. It's still a hobby of mine, but I didn't really love the work environment. You know, management at clubs kind of sucks. Didn't love that aspect. And it kind of felt like even though I could make my own schedule, it was just a drain on my time and energy to have so little control over the work environment that I was actually in. And so I was really happy switching from dancing to being a content creator, just because I feel a lot more comfortable in that space. And then getting back into kind of the performing aspect now that I've gotten into studio porn has been really fun, and I'm having a great time. I feel like I kind of started masturbating on my own. I didn't know, like nothing cued me to do it. I didn't really know what I was doing. Just found myself doing it. I have to say from the beginning, I felt it was just clouded with a lot of shame for reasons that I couldn't identify. And so it's kind of been a lifelong journey unpacking shame around sex. It took me a really long time to actually achieve an orgasm. Like I was masturbating, you know, really early on, but I don't think that I actually had an orgasm until I was like 19 years old, having sex with another person, and it was like mind-blowing for me. I was hooking up with this guy that I used to hook up with when I was in high school. It was like a friends benefit situation. And he was fucking me, and then it just felt really different than it usually did, and that was an eye-opening experience for me. I think that my experience with shame and sexuality was very much tied to religiosity. I didn't grow up in a super religious household, but I think both my parents grew up in a relatively religious household. I mean, I know my dad did for sure, but yeah, I feel like that is just a mindset that gets passed down generationally, even if people aren't fully aware of what they're passing on. But obviously, sex and religion are so deeply tied together. Now I feel like I have a big Catholic fetish. So that's been my way of unpacking it. But as far as misconceptions around women's sexuality, I feel like one of the big ones is that girls like huge dicks always and like to just get rammed until we come. But the vast majority of women that I know personally, that's not what they like. I think my sexuality, especially off camera, has gotten more and more oriented around women. I have a great time having sex with guys on camera. I have no complaints really. But I have just gotten more and more comfortable with having sex with women in my personal life, and it's been pretty cool because I feel like that was another thing tied up with shame in my mind that I really had to unpack. So I always, whenever I was younger, in high school, I always really wanted to date women more. And then in 2017, I was on this Euro trip by myself, and I went to this rave in Amsterdam, and I met this girl there and had this crazy night with her, and it just unlocked something in my brain where I was oh, I can just focus my time and energy on women and put my energy into that in my life deliberately. And I've pretty much only seriously dated women since then, and it's not because I don't like men, it's just because I love putting my time and energy and opening myself up in an intimate setting with women. It's very fulfilling to me. So one thing that I did recently, I've been building my own consent checklist paperwork. I actually took some inspiration from the adult